Americans have always been thrill seekers, and we start young at the playground, especially when the equipment seemed designed for one purpose only, to try and break us.
The late 1800s into the 1900s, millions of people arrived from Europe primarily, and they are crowding into these neighborhoods of New York City and Boston and Philadelphia, piled on top of each other. Absolutely nowhere for kids to play. So where do they go? Out into the streets.
They'd be getting into trouble, getting into fights. We're talking thousands of kids.
They are involved in gambling, drinking, smoking, what kids do when they hang out on the streets. They're also getting run over by trolleys. Mothers, community leaders, politicians, everyone starts to look for healthy alternatives for these kids. And what they come up with are playgrounds.
The idea behind playgrounds is to create a local spot where kids can get all their bottled up energy out.
They've got everything we think of that a modern playground would have. Swings and monkey bars and slides.
Any kid who's gone down any metal slide knows that steel gets really, really hot, like 150 degrees hot. Your skin makes this screeching sound as you get stuck going down.
But there was one legendary piece of equipment that was on nearly every playground until it went extinct.
One of the most popular pieces of playground equipment is the Miracle Whirl. It's a metal disc on an axis. You run top speed, grab a handle, and when you feel it's going fast enough, you sort of throw caution in your life to the wind and just jump on.
The park where I grew up had 2 Miracle Whirls. It served one purpose, and that was to see who could throw up the fastest.
It's a vomit machine. There is always some kids spinning so fast that other kids are puking. And if they're not puking, they're falling off.
The Miracle Whirl's design has numerous potential pitfalls.
The only thing holding you on this ride is the strength of your grip, a child's grip.
If for some reason you are spun from the high end to the low end, you can have your legs trapped under the low end. And should you be catapulted from the high side, you're not landing on today's recycled rubbered modular mats.
Growing up in the 1970s, there was no padding on the ground. You took chances.
You're landing on whatever was around that the town had. Could be wood chips, could be asphalt, could be bare earth, could be bricks.
The Miracle Whirl goes through several safety redesigns through the decades, but eventually falls out of favor in the 90s and early 2000s.
When you're being raised in a world where your parents are happy to put you on the Miracle Whirl, you know, you survived it. But I just think that, like, if your childhood starts from a place of torture devices for fun, that you can handle almost anything life throws you, I think. But I don't have kids.
Once you've survived the playground, you're ready for the amusement park. But back in the 80s, there was one notorious destination that nobody was ready for.
In the 70s and 80s, water parks are a new concept. And Gene Mulvihill comes up with an idea for Action Park. He's gonna be in the center of it all, and he markets it as the park for the ultimate thrill seeker.
It's got cliff diving, air slides, rapids, waterfalls.
Gene Mulvihill kind of had this grandiose vision of he was going to be the next Walt Disney. But Action Park was probably one of the most ill-advised parks in the history of amusement parks on Earth.
Every one of my friends that went came back with a cast and stitches.
We would pull up to it talking about which dangerous ride that we were gonna go on to prove how tough we were. And our parents were like, here's money, get in there, we'll be at the bar.
At the time in New Jersey, there's an advisory board for amusement park rides, but not a regulatory agency. So Mulvihill doesn't need any permit when he goes about building this thing.
With nothing holding him back, Mulvihill dreams up one of the park's most unforgettable rides. It's the nation's first looping water slide, the Cannonball Loop.
So the Cannonball is a 60-foot enclosed water slide that has a 360-degree loop that spits you out at the bottom.
It defied every engineering principle, every mechanism for safety or risk.
When I look at this, I'm like, this clearly was designed by someone who has no engineering experience. And guess what? It was.
Gene Mulvihill designed the Cannonball Loop on the back of a napkin. He's not an architect, he's not a designer, he's not an engineer. He has no business building this thing.
The Cannonball Loop was so dangerous looking and so ill-conceived that him and his workers didn't want to try it out and test it.
So Gene gets his son to test this water slide. His son doesn't even have enough faith in Gene. He decides, hey, I'm gonna go down it, Dad, but I'm gonna go down it in full-blown hockey gear. Now, this is a slide designed for people in bathing suits, okay? Not hockey gear.
Gene Mulvihill using his son to test out this ride just says so much about attitudes around parenting from that era.
Then Mulvihill starts paying park employees, mostly high school students, to go down.
Mulvihill offers them $100 to be the guinea pigs, essentially. And so, one by one, they go down the water slide, and there's a problem.
When they enter the loop, the riders have to have enough speed to make it all the way around the loop. If you didn't make it, you've all backed down the tube, and now you're really stuck. You can't go back up the 60-foot incline, and you can't go up the loop. What do you do?
The only way to get out, eventually, is they lower ropes down the tube where the kids can latch onto it, and then they pull them all the way back out.
They finally decide that there's enough people getting stuck that they have to create this hatch to get people out.
This was a ride that had its own escape hatch. That's how bad it was.
But amazingly, getting stuck is not the worst possible outcome.
People would come out and be like, why am I bleeding from here? Why am I bleeding from here? It's a water ride. How are people getting cut? They open a hatch and they see that people were losing their teeth on the ride. The teeth would get embedded into the ride like shards of glass, and then we would just go on it and shoot around and get cut up by people's teeth. People's teeth!
The Cannonball Loop causes so much carnage that responsible adults are forced to intervene.
So many people had been injured that the advisory board said, hey, we got to put the brakes on this.
The ride is only open for a month, but the park itself hangs on for another 11 years.
A lot of these things that we talk about sound kind of dangerous and perhaps too risky for children to be engaging with. But as someone that lived through that era, there was a sense of pride in acknowledging and surviving the danger. That was Action Park, and I couldn't wait to go back next year.